Two major defense companies are in a battle for the future of Canada's fighter jet fleet. Sweden's Saab Gripen versus U.S. firm Lockheed Martin's F-35.
Locked in a trade fight with Donald Trump, you may have heard that the Carney government is reconsidering its multi-billion-dollar purchase of American F-35 fighter jets.
It was sticking to its plan to buy Lockheed's F-35 fighter jets. So last week, Prime Minister Mark Carney ordered a review of Canada's contract to buy 88 F-35 fighter jets.
120 fighters, not 72. 40 F-35s, not 16. 80 Gripens, not 56. All built in Ontario. 15,000 plus jobs, not hundreds, not thousands. 15,000. That's Canada's new plan. And Pentagon's watching their worst nightmare materialize because Canada just solved every problem simultaneously. Gave Pentagon massive F-35 order they demanded, built domestic aerospace infrastructure, creating generational employment, maintained two-thirds fleet sovereignty through Gripen majority, achieved NORAD partnership through substantial F-35 contribution, destroyed American monopoly by ensuring Gripen production at scale that serves global export market, and did it all by going bigger instead of choosing between bad options. 40 F-35s means no one can claim Canada's abandoning alliance commitments. 80 Gripens means no one can claim Canada's accepting subordination. 120 total means Canadian Air Force becomes significant NATO contributor instead of minimal force barely covering territory. 15,000 jobs means every politician supports it. Ontario becomes aerospace superpower, and Pentagon can't object without admitting they never cared about Canadian defense capability. They only cared about monopoly, which just died, spectacularly, irreversibly, completely. Let me walk you through why 120 jets changes everything, and how scaling up transforms dual fleet from political compromise into strategic masterstroke. Start with capability. 72 fighters barely covers Canadian requirements. 3 ocean coastlines, massive Arctic territory, NORAD commitments, NATO deployments, training pipeline, maintenance rotations. 72 jets means Canada can deploy maybe 16 to 20 operationally at any moment. That's not serious Air Force. That's minimal presence. 120 jets changes calculation completely. 40 to 50 operational deployments simultaneously. Multiple squadrons in Arctic. Coastal patrols on both coasts. NORAD rotations without strain. NATO contributions without stripping domestic defense. Training without degrading operational readiness. That's credible military capability, and the mission distribution works perfectly. 40 F-35s handle every NORAD mission, every American integrated NATO operation, every scenario requiring stealth or deep integration with U.S. forces. That's 2 full squadrons, enough for sustained operations, enough for concurrent deployments, enough that Pentagon can't claim Canada's not contributing adequately. 80 Gripens handle everything else. Arctic sovereignty patrols, coastal surveillance, European-led NATO missions, politically sensitive operations, training pipelines, routine air policing. That's 4 squadrons of sovereign capability operating without American approval, American components, or American political vulnerabilities. The NORAD contribution specifically matters. 40 F-35s is substantial, not token participation, not minimal presence, actual capability that matters operationally. When Russian bombers test North American defenses, Canadian F-35s intercept alongside American jets as peers, not junior partners providing token support. Peers with sufficient numbers to cover sectors, rotate deployments, and maintain readiness. Pentagon gets exactly what they claim to want. Capable Allied Air Force contributing meaningfully to continental defense. They just don't get monopoly. 2/3 of Canadian fleet operates independently. That's what makes it brilliant. The jobs numbers are transformational. 15,000 plus aerospace positions, direct manufacturing, engineering, quality control, supply chain, maintenance, training, all of it in Ontario. That's not industrial policy experiment. That's economic engine driving prosperity for generations. Those workers support families, buy homes, pay taxes, fund communities. Create demand, sustaining thousands of additional jobs in services, retail, construction. The multiplier effect means Ontario's economy transforms. Aerospace cluster rivaling anything in North America, maybe globally, and politically. 15,000 aerospace workers means every Ontario politician supports it. Every federal politician from Ontario champions it. The constituency defending program is massive and motivated. Building both platforms in Ontario is strategic genius. F-35 production likely involves substantial Canadian industrial participation through Lockheed Martin partnerships. Bombardier and Canadian suppliers manufacture components, assemble aircraft, integrate systems. The expertise grows. The supply chains strengthen. When Gripen production happens in same facilities or nearby, the aerospace ecosystem compounds, workers transferring knowledge between programs, suppliers serving multiple platforms, infrastructure supporting complete fighter production capability. Ontario becomes one of few places globally that can build multiple advanced fighters simultaneously. That's strategic asset persisting beyond any single program. And the sovereignty math is perfect. 40 F-35s is 1/3 of fleet, substantial enough for partnership, small enough that American leverage is limited. If political crisis erupts, if Washington weaponizes F-35 support, Canada loses 1/3 of operational capability. Serious, but not catastrophic. 2/3 of fleet keeps flying. 80 Gripens with British engines, Canadian production, domestic maintenance. Sovereignty isn't theoretical. It's operational reality through fleet composition. That's insurance worth billions when alliance reliability is questionable. The cost is manageable when calculated correctly. 40 F-35s over program lifetime costs approximately $15 billion. 80 Gripens plus Ontario production infrastructure costs roughly $28 to $32 billion. Total $43 to $47 billion for 120 jets, compared to 120 F-35s at approximately $45 to $50 billion. Dual fleet costs roughly same as exclusive F-35 procurement, but provides strategic flexibility, industrial development, sovereignty, and operational optimization. American monopoly can't match. The value proposition is overwhelmingly favorable when all factors are calculated. Pentagon's response options are demolished. They demanded Canada buy F-35s. Canada's buying 40, more than double the 16 previously discussed. Pentagon demanded meaningful NORAD contribution. 40 jets is meaningful. Pentagon claimed sovereignty concerns were exaggerated. 80 Gripens prove they weren't. Pentagon wanted monopoly. 120 jets with 2/3 non-American destroys it. Every objection Pentagon could raise is answered, except the monopoly objection, which they can't voice publicly without admitting coercion. And the precedent terrifies Pentagon because it's replicable and scalable. Poland sees 120 jets working for Canada. Poland evaluates 60 F-35s for American integration, 120 Gripens for sovereignty and numbers, 180 total. Germany reconsiders 80 F-35s for nuclear sharing and American operations, 160 Gripens for everything else, 240 total. Spain, Italy, Netherlands, all calculating whether going bigger on both platforms serves their interest better than exclusive American dependence. If multiple NATO countries adopt supersized dual fleet, American market share collapses even as F-35 sales nominally increase. Pentagon gets revenue, but loses monopoly control. That's strategic defeat disguised as commercial success. The global export implications amplify. Ontario building both platforms demonstrates Canadian aerospace excellence. Countries ordering Gripen from Canada see facility that's building F-35s too. That's credibility. That's quality validation. If Canada trusts Ontario production for both platforms, international customers trust it. Ukraine's 100 Gripens, Portugal's 30 to 40, Peru's 25, Philippines 15 to 20, all gain confidence from Canada building diverse platforms successfully. The export hub succeeds more thoroughly because it's not just Gripen facility. It's complete fighter production capability. Ukraine specifically benefits. If Canada operates 120 jets, including both F-35s and Gripens, Ukraine can justify similar approach. 20 to 30 F-16 for American weapons integration, 150 Gripens for numbers and sovereignty. Donor countries funding Ukrainian procurement see Canadian precedent and gain confidence. The model works. Major NATO ally proves it. Ukraine applies same logic at larger scale. Canadian 120 jets validates Ukrainian 180 jets. Precedent creates permission. The training and maintenance infrastructure required is substantial but achievable. Ontario facilities need to support both platforms. Simulators, test equipment, spare parts inventory, specialized tools, technical publications, training for instructors, certification for maintenance personnel, all of it duplicated across two different aircraft types. That's complexity, but complexity is investment creating capability. Workers gaining expertise in both American and European systems become most versatile aerospace workforce globally. That human capital drives innovation and prosperity beyond defense contracts, and the operational flexibility compounds strategically. Canadian Air Force can optimize every mission. Russian bombers approaching, scramble F-35s for stealth intercept. Arctic Sovereignty Patrol, deploy Gripens for cost-effective persistent presence. NATO operation in Eastern Europe with American leadership, send F-35 squadron for integration. European-led mission where American involvement complicates politics. Deploy Gripen squadron operating independently. Every scenario has optimal platform. That's force employment sophistication single platform can't provide. The Arctic dimension especially benefits from scale. 80 Gripens means multiple squadrons dedicated to northern operations, forward deployed to Arctic bases, persistent patrols asserting sovereignty, rapid response to territorial incursions, coordination with Nordic allies, operating similar platforms. When Russian activity increases, Canada surges Gripen presence without degrading capability elsewhere. Numbers matter in Arctic, distance matters, reliability matters. 80 jets provides all three. That's credible Arctic defense, not token presence. The political coalition becomes unbeatable. Ontario politicians championing 15,000 jobs. Quebec supporting Montreal engine production. Federal government achieving sovereignty and partnership simultaneously. Defense advocates getting capable Air Force. 120 jets is credible capability. 16 F-35s is token. 40 F-35s is substantial. 56 Gripens is majority. 80 Gripens is dominance. With 15,000 jobs is transformation. The scale changes quality, turns dual fleet from compromise into optimization, turns sovereignty from defensive posture into confident assertion, turns Canadian aerospace from customer into competitor, and the irreversibility is absolute. 120 jets on order. 40 F-35s means Lockheed Martin committed. 80 Gripens means Ontario facility justified. 15,000 workers means constituencies defending it. Export orders means international customers depending on it. The infrastructure gets built. The capability becomes operational. The sovereignty becomes real. Future Canadian governments can't reverse without catastrophic costs. Future American administrations can't pressure effectively because democratic protection through employment is overwhelming. 120 fighters and geopolitical crises. That's permanence through prosperity. And the strategic messaging to Russia and China is sophisticated. China sees Canada operating substantial F-35 fleet, understands Canada maintains American partnership, can't claim Canada's anti-Western. Russia sees Canada operating massive Gripen fleet, understands Canada asserts independence, can't claim Canada's American vassal. Both adversaries have to calculate differently because Canada's fleet composition signals nuanced position, partnership where interests align, independence where they diverge. That ambiguity is strategic asset preventing adversaries from exploiting alliance tensions. The Pentagon leadership watching this unfold privately recognizes they created the outcome they most feared. Trump's threats gave Canadian politicians domestic support for sovereignty spending. Is permanent proof that coercion fails when it motivates capable allies to build alternatives. The final calculation is what matters most. Canada goes from dependent customer to independent producer, from minimal air force to credible capability, from token participation to substantial contribution, from vulnerability to resilience, from subordination to sovereignty. 120 jets, 15,000 jobs, 40 to Pentagon, 80 for Canada, built in Ontario, operated worldwide, serving Canadian interests, strengthening NATO, destroying monopoly, creating precedent, establishing permanence. That's strategic victory. Complete, irreversible, perfect.